Gingrich just went on TV and leaked sick thing Mueller did to Trump. Former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich just got on Hannity Tuesday and unleashed on special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into possible ties President Trump could have had with Russian meddling in the 2016 election. News recently broke of campaign chairman Paul Manafort being targeted for wiretapping by the FBI before, during, and after the 2016 election. As soon as Hannity brought up that most recent scandal, Gingrich went nuts. If you were to take all the different ways in which the Obama Justice Department abused the system, abusing it on one hand to defend Hillary Clinton, abusing it on the other hand by going after Republicans and people who are going for Trump. He then added, this is a radically bigger scandal than anything about Russia, and finished his point with, here you have an administration that was going after political figures while defending its own political figures. This may be the most egregious abuse of the criminal justice process in American history. It's truly extraordinary. Here's the deal. Newt Gingrich just got up and showed that Mueller is messing with Trump when there is a far bigger scandal in the 2016 election. Gingrich is totally right with why is Mueller wasting our time and tax dollars with this nonsensical Russian witch hunt when more and more evidence is piling up that the former president, or at least his administration, was spying on Team Trump. Check out the full interview here and share this far and wide, patriots.
The world stage earlier today at the UN and wasted very little time in confronting the many dangers America and the world is now facing, evil in our time. President Trump, he took direct aim at North Korea for its continued aggression, and he issued a direct warning to dictator Kim Jong-un and his rogue regime. Take a look at this.
The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. It is time for North Korea to realize that the denuclearization is its only acceptable future.
And what a difference a president makes. Now, President Trump didn't stop with North Korea. He also focused on radical Islamic mullahs in Tehran and the disastrous Iranian nuclear deal. Look at this.
We cannot abide by an agreement if it provides cover for the eventual construction of a nuclear program. The Iran deal was one of the worst and most one-sided transactions the United States has ever entered into. Frankly, that deal is an embarrassment to the United States, and I don't think you've heard the last of it, believe me.
Now, that deal is an embarrassment to the United States, and we've not heard the last of it. Now, this is what leading on the world stage actually looks like. President Trump refused to appease and capitulate to countries like Iran and the Hate America crowd in North Korea, countries that want to see Israel wiped off the map. In fact, President Trump is receiving very high praise for his very bold and direct address. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, said it was the most bold, courageous speech he's ever heard at the United Nations. Now, President Trump also outlined his plan to defeat radical Islamic terrorism and called on other countries to ramp up their efforts in that fight, modern-day evil. And I've got to say, it's beyond refreshing and encouraging to have a president who is not afraid to call out radical Islamic terrorism by name. Remember, only a couple of years ago, President Obama did the exact opposite at the UN and actually said that Islam is the religion of peace. Well, for some, yes, but for many, no. And finally, during the major speech, President Trump defended American sovereignty by declaring he, as president, will always put America first. Now, later in the program, we will have Ambassador John Bolton, and in an exclusive interview tonight, the president of Egypt. Now, he's been extremely courageous in battling and identifying radical Islamic terrorists. But first, joining us now, the author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, Understanding Trump, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor, Newt Gingrich. By the way, Newt has an online course called Defending America. Mr. Speaker, good to see you again.
Good to see you, and I must say, I thought that the historic speech that President Trump made at the United Nations today was really about defending America, but it was also about defending the right of every country to be a sovereign nation. It's truly a remarkable speech. It's the fourth great speech of his presidency, and I think it sets the stage for a real debate worldwide about globalism versus sovereign nations who work together, but they work together as independent countries, not as some kind of a globalist internationalism.
You know, Democrats ripping this as bombastic and dangerous, and I'm looking at the words of the speech, and he says, okay, he reiterated his commitment to America first, our government's first duty to his people, to our citizens, to serve their needs, ensure their safety, preserve their rights, defend their values, and as president, I'll always put America first. And he takes on North Korea, that's firing missiles over Japan almost on a weekly basis, and he takes on radical Islam and radical Islamic mullahs in Iran and say they can't get nukes. Why am I having a hard time understanding the criticism here?
Well, because I think your worldview and mine, and I'm with you on this, is so radically different from the appeasement-oriented left. You have to remember that from the standpoint of the left, this is a dangerous speech at every level. It's a speech which says that America matters. And remember, when he says he's going to put America first, he went on to say, and he expects other leaders to put their countries first. He's not saying America first over everybody else, but he's saying if you have a national leader, you know, if the leader of Britain or the leader of Germany or the leader of China, if they're not putting their own country first, they're not doing their duty to their people. Now, out of that, you've got to negotiate, you've got to come together. But I thought it was a very compelling speech.
Mad Dog Mattis, General Mattis, said that the U.S. may have a secret weapon to neutralize North Korea. And when he was pressed, why are you laughing? When he was pressed further, he said, well, he talked about, I don't want to get into it, when he was talking about kinetic options. What, in your opinion, is that a clue as to what might be the option they're talking about?
First of all, he has been going around very methodically, talking to our Missile Command, inspecting our ICBMs, talking to the Strategic Command, laying out what we could do. I don't know any secrets, and I deliberately have avoided clearance because I do so much television, but let me tell you from general open sources. Boeing has developed a hypersonic missile that literally knocks out all of the communications, all of the computers as it passes over a headquarters, for example. We have a variety of cyber weapons that we normally don't talk about and we never use because we don't want other people to know we have them. I think that if there's a terrific scene in Gladiator where Russell Crowe says, when you see the signal, unleash hell. I have a hunch that Mattis is very methodically orchestrating the capacity. Right. Okay. I think Mattis is very methodically organizing an ability to, if he has to, he doesn't want to. He's not a guy who believes in taking giant risks, but if he has to, I think he is prepared to take enormous steps to disarm North Korea and to do so in ways that most people have no idea we're capable of.
I've been saying there's no good options. That to me would be a really good option.
Well, imagine you woke up as Kim Jong-un and your telephone didn't work. And by the way, your radio didn't work. And you weren't in contact with your generals. And your generals weren't in contact with each other. And you all of a sudden actually
your rockets didn't work.
Launch anything because everything had suddenly been stopped. Now, whether or not we could do 100%, I'm not sure. I have a hunch we could do a lot, and I think that we have had very smart people work this problem for very many years. And it's one of the reasons I was proud that we had a huge bipartisan majority pass the Armed Services Bill in the Senate this week, because it's a signal that now we're coming together as Americans, not Democrats or Republicans, and we're saying to the world, we're going to do what we have to do to defend ourselves.
Big time. Let me go back to March 4th of this year, when the president pointed out and tweeted out that he was being wiretapped. Well, we now found out that, in fact, the president was right. And we did, as I said in my opening monologue, we talked about this on March 8th. and Sarah Carter and John Solomon broke the story, FISA warrants, other warrants, and we know what happened. But there's the bigger, broader issue here of the unprecedented amount of surveillance of a political opposition candidate, unmasking of people, in the case of General Flynn, leaking intelligence, and then you have people like Samantha Power, the UN rep, unmasking up to 300 people, most of them Trump people, Ben Rhodes, Susan Rice, and you have to ask yourself, what is going on here, and how dangerous is this to the Fourth Amendment from your perspective?
Well, look, I think if you were to take all the different ways in which the Obama Justice Department was abusing the system, abusing it on the one hand to defend Hillary Clinton, abusing it on the other hand going after Republicans and people who are for Trump. And I think this is a radically bigger scandal than anything about Russia. Here you have an administration which deliberately was going after political figures, which on the other hand was deliberately defending its own political figures. This may be the most egregious abuse of the criminal justice process in American history. I mean, it's truly extraordinary, and nobody yet has put it all together, and I'm hoping that the Congress is now going to realize that they have, and you said it well in your opening monologue, I mean, was General Clapper not informed that there was a FISA warrant, or did General Clapper lie about the FISA warrant? There are a whole series of these things that come out of these reports, and when you take the totality, they're quite astonishing, and it goes back to the point I make in my course on defending America, which is the country you and I know is under siege by a deep state which really wants to create a very different America and is willing to break the law and abuse the law in order to achieve that.
All right, Mr. Speaker, I totally agree. Thanks for being with us. When we come back, leaking, surveillance, unmasking, what's going on? Greg Jarrett, Monica Crowley are here with more on this explosive report. Paul Manafort's phone was wiretapped and the media did lie to you. Also, John Bolton back with reaction to the president's hard-hitting address at the UN. And I have an announcement and actually some good news at the end of the show. Straight ahead.
Absolutely. A criminal in charge we had before. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.